What's up, my dudes? This is the review of Flat Track 2020 Indianapolis. Yeah, what happened here, RF? I'm a little confused, dog. You were doing pretty good with the 2020 Atlanta track that you just came out with like 2 weeks ago, right? The one right before Daytona, a lot of you guys know that one. They finally started giving you the real, more jump filling skill gap, and the traction felt a little bit better on that track for me. The corners felt a little more built up. Felt like you could actually get to, hossing it up on the track a little bit, getting on the gas. What happened? I don't know. We were going in the right direction with Arlington, and then Atlanta was even better. I thought Atlanta was the best round this whole year thus far, hands down, the best track this year thus far. But then here with Indianapolis, we've sort of taken another step backwards again. It's like they've went back to this way too simplistic rhythms, especially on a 450. I mean, stupidly simplistic. Every single rhythm on this track, you're literally just doubling in because it's faster, even on the 450. All these main big rhythms, you're literally just doubling in, dog. Like, what even is that? You're obviously not doing your scaling and everything with the track designs properly if we're able to go in there and just double in on every single rhythm, and it actually makes the rhythm faster. Like, you got something wrong if that's what's going on your track, right? On a 450, I mean, obviously 250s are, more known for, doing the double in, but not the 450s, man. I mean, you've got something off scaling wise to where, and a lot of the tracks this year have been like this, where it's actually faster to hit this little bitty small line, like just little double, triple double, or whatever, instead of, what it used to be, where it would be like the triple in and then maybe like a quad or a triple, 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 or, something a little more difficult like that. And I feel like that first rhythm on Atlanta kind of had a little bit more of that vibe because the jump and the landing peaks are a little bit more peaked to where you actually had to land them properly. You couldn't just land anywhere you wanted to and still been just fine, right? So I think they're definitely off on their jump, skill gap, scaling, that whole side of it. They've been in a weird place with that this whole year. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of times their rhythm jumps don't match up with the scaling of their main triples, their main Supercross triples. Like, you'll be over here hitting these little rhythm jumps, and it'll be like, oh, this is like some of the smallest little rhythm jumps I've ever hit in my life. And all of a sudden you hit the triple, and it's like, boom, you're like shot to fucking moon and back, like the biggest kickered out triple you've ever hit in your entire life. It's like, where is the balance here, RF? I'm a little confused. Like, you're making the biggest, most kickered out, most peaked out main Supercross triples you've ever made before, but then you come over here to your rhythm sections and we're literally fucking doubling in on every single rhythm on a 450 and a 250 because they're so small built and so short jump size that it's actually faster just to double in. And then you get to the whoops and it's like these rolled off, mellowed off. You feel like you're playing the official Monster Indy Supercross game on the whoops on here. And then you slide out in the corner because the traction is literally like you put wet sand on concrete and then took a shit on it and let it freeze. That's an accurate example of the traction of what they got going on right now on this track. I think this is one of the biggest things that's hurt you all year long, RF, is the traction. I don't know where this sort of weird ass, it's like you'll be sliding in the corner and then all of a sudden you'll have 10,000% traction out of nowhere for no reason at all. It makes no sense, dude. Like, I'm just so confused on this whole traction thing. It's not even so much that, and yeah, their corners could use a little bit more size, a little bit more bank to the corners, a little bit more of an actual berm and not be so flat and stuff, not so glass flat in some of these sections. Yeah. But I feel like their main issue, their really main core issue, is the traction. I don't know where they got this whole sort of traction from, but I swear to God, this is the weirdest I have ever felt on track dirt in my entire time of pro racing in this game. And it kills every aspect of it because you feel like you can't really go into a corner really hard because you've got this, it's just unpredictable. That's the problem with the traction right now, in my opinion. It's just so weird and unpredictable. It's not just like slick traction, like you could say, 2011 or 12 RF Supercross tracks were in this game. It's not just slick. It's like this weird wet sand slick, but then all of a sudden concrete traction out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden frozen ice slickness filling, but then all of a sudden you get random traction in random places. It is so bizarre. I've never rode on traction like this before in my life. I don't know what the deal is with it. I don't know. But it's making every corner feel like it's got even less of a banking and a berm than it really has, because you're just sliding all over the countryside. Whereas, like, if you have that better, more grippy, not so frictiony, weird, bizarre traction, you don't have to have such giant berms, because you can still get into them and the bike can still dig into the corner, right? But it's just, to me, it's just felt so weird. It's like nowadays, the whole thing that you're worried about when you're riding on the track is not the jump rhythms. It's not like, oh man, can I hit this triple in? Oh man, am I going to be able to hit this quad? You're not thinking about that at all. It's not the whoop skill gap. You're not sitting there going around the track thinking, oh man, I'm really scared of these whoops. Can I actually get up on top of them without crashing? Literally all you're thinking is, just pray to God that I don't slide down in every single one of these corners. That's what you're thinking the whole time going around any of these tracks in this game now. These RF 2020 tracks. Other than Atlanta, for whatever reason, Atlanta to me really was starting to get more of that real, like, scaling, that real, berm corner filling where you could actually start getting on the gas decently, and the jump rhythms scaling and all that. Everything just felt like it was supposed to feel in Atlanta. And I'm not saying Atlanta was perfect, but that is like way more where we should have been at the beginning of the year. But we're still kind of in this bizarre, small berm, weird, slick, but super traction at the same time, sort of, traction to the dirt. They got this weird thing going on with the road now to where they have it so low that they might as well not even have it on. They're starting to get to that point with the whole road in the game. They literally have it so low that all it's doing is just making a couple of ruts, kind of sort of ruts, not really. And it's just really making the track more slick. That's all it's doing. That already weird, slick, bizarre, sand, frozen shit traction is then getting even worse when you start getting those little bitty choppy, like where the road just starts to be, starts getting made. But it's just like, I just don't understand it. Like, I promise you at this point, you would be better just not even running a road on this shit. For the level that you have it on anyways, at least in the heat race and the LCQ and all that, it was just like, the whole time I was riding, I was like, what's the point in having these little bitty ass wannabe ruts? They're not even ruts. Like, I don't know. I guess it was a little different with Daytona because you had some pre-made, but with these tracks, there's just no point, especially not in qualifying. That's where it starts getting real weird when you start getting the road going in qualifying, and then certain people have more road than other people. They really gonna have to start getting their stuff together with all this, but I don't know. It is so bizarre going into these corners that barely even have a berm as it is, and then the traction on top of it is making it feel twice as bad as it should feel, It's just like, damn, man. And that's the thing, like, if this, and I'm not saying you just, oh my God, you need to have super traction on these tracks. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is like some weird ass bizarre shit that I've never felt in this game before, ever. And I don't know where they're getting this from. It's like they've tried to reinvent the wheel on tile maps and tractions and try to make this like new traction. And it just feels terrible. It's like making everybody having to get these super linear, super weird ass linear dynos in the game and shit, where you're just doing everything you can not to slide, right? That's like the whole game now. Just don't slide in the corner. You don't have to get on the throttle very hard to hit a big jump, because there are no big jumps that are actually worth it. You don't have to really like have your bike super set up for whoops, because they don't really have hardcore whoops anymore. There's like these rolled off. These are better than some of the ones they did have before, but they're still not quite to that feeling like you're actually hitting a whoop section. You know what I mean? They're just not to that point still. And then that weird traction that they got going on makes the whoops feel even worse, makes the corners feel even worse. makes everything feel worse, right? I think that is their biggest issue right now is the traction. And yeah, when you start making the traction a little bit less weird, janky, slick sand, you're going to be able to jump stuff farther. Yeah, you are. But the thing is all you got to do is just, make your jumps just a little bit further out there, or add just a little bit more height to your jumps to where you can't jump quite as far, right? You can combat that. Oh no, we can't let you quad in. That's why we have to do this traction. You can combat that with so many other things than just, well, we're just going to leave this shitty ass weird slick traction in here. Like, damn. You're going to have to figure out something else. I'm telling you. This is just such a bizarre feeling in this game, riding with this kind of traction. I don't know. It's so weird. Nobody else runs traction like this. Like, you can go ride on a JGMX track or a 2017 RF Supercross track or a 2018 outdoor RF or whatever, and it doesn't feel like this. None of that other stuff feels like this. I don't know where they're getting this shit from. I have no idea. But it's like they've just pulled this out of nowhere, and we still have these rolled off corners. I guess it wouldn't be as bad with this traction if you had more built up corners, but what I'm saying is you don't even have to have very built up corners if you have good traction. That's the whole thing. You can go back to some of those 17 Supercross tracks, and they really don't have all that much more banked up corners in this. They do a little bit, probably like 10 to 20% more banked up, but it's not just that. It's the traction of the 17 tracks, for the most part, that feels so much more realistic to me. Feels like you can actually dig into the ground, whereas this just feels like not only the way they build the terrain, but the traction on top of it gives you this weird feeling like you're on glass, like you're riding on glass everywhere, right? Not only the slickness aspect of it, but also just how perfectly flat. You know how in real life there's that cushion to the dirt. There's that little bit of movement to the dirt, even on a flat area. Well, MX Simulator is not capturing that at all right now on their flat sections. It literally just feels like you're riding on glass. We might as well just go out there and make a fucking, figure eight flat tracking track and just race on that shit. I mean, seriously, that's what we're doing at this point. Like, oh man. I don't know, man. They're definitely... They're having to learn some hard lessons this year with the way they're designing these tracks, but I was expecting a whole different picture. I mean, I would have thought Anaheim 1 would have been at least on the 2020 Atlanta track level, corners, jump, scaling and skill gap and all that. I would have thought it would have at least been on that level, but we're still sort of going in this weird... Like, they'll go one way, and then the next track will be completely different. And then the next track will come out, and that one will be completely different. And then it's like they're all over the place, man. You remember me telling you that they were going to do that at the beginning of the year? They're still doing that. They're just all... It feels like every new RF track that comes out is a whole different year of a track. You know what I mean? None of these tracks feel like they're all a part of the 2020 RF Supercross series. I mean, it's like this one feels like a, whatever. This one feels like a 14, and then the next one will come out. That one will feel like a 17, then the next one will come out, and that one will feel like an 18, and then the next one will come out, and that one will feel like a, like an 11. Shit, I don't know. It's just they're all over the place, bro. You're going to have to get a little more consistent and coherent RF. And of course, anytime I come in here and complain about your tracks, you're like, oh, that's Spencer whining and complaining. But if you actually listen to what I was saying, you would understand this shit, man. Like, what is this traction? What is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it feels like that. But I'm tired of sliding out in every corner for no reason at all. I'm tired of feeling like the entire skill gap to the entire game is just don't lose your front end. That's fucking ridiculous, dog. That's starting to get ridiculous. Like, build these damn rhythm jumps up a little bit to where you actually have to triple in or you're going to be slower instead of just being able to double, let's stay on the ground and skim everything and never actually jump up in the air because it's faster, because the jumps are so short and small. Like, come on now, RF. Come on now, dog. You're going to have to get it together on this shit, but... And heaven forbid we have a pre-made inside rut anywhere. Heaven forbid, boys. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, It is what it is. I was just so happy about some of the improvements they had made with Atlanta. Like, I was really impressed. A lot of stuff they'd done with that track. And this just felt like such a backward step to me in every way. This just felt like we were just going back to the way the first 2 rounds were, you know, just super slick, no skill gap, no whoops, no corners, weird ass traction, right? So I hope they can improve on this, but we'll just have to wait and see. So either way, no real life Indy, so that's a little disappointing, but I think they're still going to be running all the MX simulator races, so I'll be hitting that shit up for show. For show, dog. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.